Hello, Kris here, Green Sabre. Welcome to Doom Telly, episode 39. And right, what I'm going to do is, there is a theme of today's video, but I'm also going to do a little update, Green Sabre update, and a gig update that I've been to beforehand, but I'm not going to go into a tremendous amount of detail, because the main thread of the video is, it's something else, so I will briefly explain. Today's video will be, it's an idea that I saw, Altars of Madness did a video recently. That was, I think he called it 10 bands, do a 10 bands top 10 of bands with a flawless back catalogue. Now, or without any bad records and such like that. That's probably one way of putting it. Which I thought, I'm having a go at that. His list's really good, and I must admit there are a couple of bands on there that I've never fucking heard of. So again, I need to go on a voyage of discovery there. But yeah. I'll go into greater detail on this in a minute, but that's going to be the theme of the video today. But first, Green Sabre update. We rehearsed last night, paid our fucking lock-up fees as well, so we're all skin. But yeah, so all good. Now, the drummer's going on holiday for a couple of weeks, so we're not going to rehearse again until the back end. In fact, I think our next rehearsal is going to be the day before we gig. The next gig, of course, I've mentioned several times. The back end of this month in Manchester, the Pier Hat, supporting Froglord with Acid Trip and Jeremiah AD, Monday the 28th of August. Can't wait. So yeah, we're getting ready for it. So we just kind of like went through the set, get that fucking down and nice and tight, which it is now anyway as such. And then once we've got this gig out of the way, we haven't got any other gigs planned until the middle of November or approximately somewhere around there. So we can really now start concentrating on just getting the songs together for going into the studio in January. I might have mentioned on the last video, but we're now confirmed when we're in the studio. Second week of January, I believe, 2024 is when recording of the new, only going to be an EP, sadly. We don't have the funds to do a full fucking record. We've got the songs to do a full record, a full album, but yeah, we're just budget-wise, because we're going into a top fucking studio with a top producer, then we're, yeah. It's expensive for any of you in bands. No, it's fucking, yeah, it's an insane amount of money. Very expensive hobby, this band thing. So it better start paying for itself soon. But anyway, yeah, so that's the Green Sabre update. Further updates to come over the weeks. The next update, I went to the Reaper Festival, the Stormkeep gig in Manchester at Rebellion on Saturday. That was fucking tremendous. It was I might insert a fucking image or an image or two from it as such, like, but met up with some of my fellow VCers there as well. Beardy Red Viking and his good lady were out there, so it was great to see those guys. Johnny Mac, Rock and Metal Plus. I've met Johnny before, as you will all know, once in a fucking car park in Conway in North Wales. Another story. But he was there with his mate Dave. And yeah, fucking brilliant to actually finally have a night out with Johnny and Dave. Nice to meet you, Dave. And of course, as I mentioned, Beardy Red Viking in his last. And my mate Dave from Morecambe, shout out Dave, was there as well. So I've not seen him in years either, so it was great to catch up. So yeah, besides the socialising, fucking tremendous night. Now I've made a note because some of the bands are quite difficult to fucking pronounce. But yeah, we're an all-dayer. So I got into Manchester, and to get in about fucking 1:45, something like that. I think doors were 1 o'clock as well. And I park, if any of you know Manchester, sort of where Oxford Road railway station is, I park the other side of that and walk down to Rebellion. It's just sort of, you've got like Oxford Road station, then you've got Gorilla, if any of you have been to gigs in Gorilla. I think the Ritz is around there somewhere over the other side of the road. And then you just keep going past there where all the railway arches are. Keep going, and Rebellion is sort of, is it near where fucking, what's that indie venue called that everyone used to fucking go to? It's near where that used to be anyway, so yeah. Hacienda, was it Hacienda? Anyway. So, yeah, so got to the venue, met up with Beardy Red and his lass in the queue. I was drinking a delicious cup of coffee at the time, because driving. I don't tend to drink at gigs these days anyway. But yeah, as I was driving, I wasn't drinking anyway. Nice cup of coffee, £3 it cost me. The Gestapo on the fucking door at Rebellion, no, I wasn't coming in with that. So I had to dump it. So then I dumped it on the roadside there. He's like, no, you can't put it there either. He made me walk to the fucking bin. Absolute fucking bell end. Anyway, it was very thorough. So 10 out of 10 for thorough. But yeah, 1 out of 10 for attitude. But anyway, yeah, I got in, minus the cup of coffee. And yeah, it was just a tremendous fucking gig. Cairns opened it. And they were really good, really nice mix of sort of old school black metal, but with like more, there was clean vocal sections in there as well. They were having a number of sound issues though by the sounds and by the looks. So yeah, that somewhat hindered their set. But yeah, they did a really good set and I was impressed with them. I thought they were really good. The band that followed, I've forgotten their fucking name, I'm very sorry. Nemorous. Yeah. They were decent, yeah, quite good. It were, yeah, more sort of like, more straight up black metal fare compared to Cairns and such like that. Again, I think there were the odd sound issue with that as well. But, yeah, so, yeah, decent. Following them, now, according to the set list, but I'd remembered this the other way around, but anyway, I'm going to go off of what the fucking lineup list was that I found online. But apparently it was Arth next. Was it Arth next? Do tell me, people. Anyway, I've probably forgotten the lineup because I was so mesmerised. This is the 3rd time I've seen Arth now, and they have never, ever failed to disappoint. They're just fucking magnificent. If you haven't seen them and you just make yourself get a chance to see them, they're just fucking electrifyingly good. Just the vocal harmonies, it's that. I remember I was discussing with my mate Dave while we were watching them in awe, and I'd said I remember seeing them. The first time I saw them was at the Bread Shed in Manchester, almost a year ago. I think it was September last year. It was Trivax, Arth, and Winterfylleth. Another fucking top night. But anyway, and yeah, and Arth, I remember getting in there. Arth was the reason that I'd gone, but also Winterfylleth are a fucking massive band of mine that we will go into greater detail soon. And I remember thinking, oh, I can't wait for this, but is it going to work? I mean, Arth's Take Up My Bones was my album of the year last year, and just has not been off the turntable since, really. It's just a fucking magnificent record. But yeah, when I'm thinking, this is magnificent, is it going to translate live? It was, well, it does, and it does in fucking spades. It's just incredible. If you get chance, make the chance. You have to see them. Fucking magnificent. And I can't wait for next year because there's a new album out by the sounds. So, yeah. Then it was my 3rd favourite band on the night, I have to say. Ninkharsag. I think it's Ninkharsag anyway. Brilliant. Kind of Lamp of Murmur-esque. Kind of straight up black metal with a modern feel to it, with more of the kind of cleaner production sensibilities that you get from modern black metal. And they were electrifying. Yeah, it was a really, really good fucking set. And they're the band that I'm predominantly discovering more from this. I've been downloading a bit of the back catalogue since that gig. So yeah, getting right into them. I thought they were fucking marvellous. Next up were Saor, however you pronounce it, the Scottish. I think they're like a one-man project, but obviously there was more than that at the gig. I didn't know a massive amount about, I will be brutally honest, going into this. So they were a really welcome surprise. A fucking really great black metal aesthetics. And then there was a female sort of flautist, however it's fucking pronounced, and she was doing like the female clean vocal in that, and bit really sort of, you weren't expecting it, or I wasn't expecting it. Probably half the fucking crowd were, but yeah, really, really magnificent set. It was just kind of, yeah, that was a wow. So we've gone from Arth to Ninkharsag to Saor. Apologies for however it's fucking pronounced. Yeah, just magnificent. Yeah, really, really good. So I think my 4th favourite band on the night. Followed by were they my favourite or were Arth my favourite? Anyway, it was a really close tie-up, but Winterfylleth. And a hometown gig as well. And this is the 2nd time I've seen them now in Manchester. And you just get a slightly different feel from their hometown gigs. They're a bit more relaxed, they're a bit more at ease, but none of the professionalism goes. They are absolutely without. I've seen them 3 times now, and they're absolutely without fault every time I've seen them. They're just fucking, just straight up in your face, barrage, black metal melody, fucking brilliant. They're one of my favourite black metal bands. They're just, and I've always said to friends, like, our kid, my brother's just, he said I can't get into this black metal. It's not working for me. I don't. And I would always say to people, Winterfylleth, for me, are a great entry level, because there's lots of death metal sensibilities in how the songs are structured and written and riff-wise and stuff like that. But there's all your black metal basics in there as well, and with the kind of English, Old English vibe that they're going with, and the sort of historical approach to it and stuff. I just think they're magnificent, and they're always good live, and they were yet again. And with it being a hometown gig and they haven't gigged in a while, there was a few old school classics in there. Goes to Heritage and Mantalk, some particular fucking favourites in there. But yeah, they never play. If for any of you Winterfylleth types are watching this, you never played Pariah's Path. The 3 times that I've seen you, that's one of my favourite tracks of yours. I would love to fucking see it at some point live. So yeah, shoehorn that in somewhere if you can. So yeah, Winterfylleth, and then finally Stormkeep, UK exclusive, and they did not disappoint. They looked fucking magnificent on stage. The keys synthesizer guy had a fucking Gandalf wizard type hat on. The main lead singer guitarist had like elvish sort of get up on there. He looked like a kind of something out of fucking Hawk the Slayer meets fucking Emperor. It was a it was a magnificent stage look for a point. But yeah, they did not disappoint straight up. Even down to the guitars, I loved it. He had a fucking ESP Limited V. The main guy had a fucking BC Rich gunslinger that I've not seen in a live setting in years. Yeah, that's my guitarist nerd coming out in me. But yeah, they were fucking ace. How I couldn't stop to the end of it. I left shortly before the set finished because I'm an old man. All day are really fucking difficult on the back, and yeah, so my back was beginning to fail me, and also yeah, I thought I knew I'd still got an hour and a half. Well, it turned into a nearly fucking 2-hour drive home because the M62 was shut nearly. So, but that's another story. So yeah, it was a hellish drive home, but I knew it was going to be reasonably hellish anyway. So it was a kind of, I could just feel myself beginning to fade, and I thought, I need to get going. I've got a long drive ahead. So yeah. So yeah, I didn't quite see out their set, but what I saw, brilliant. Yeah. So that was the Stormkeep gig at Rebellion. Now, I've almost done nearly for fucking 15 minutes before even starting on this. So I probably should have done 2 separate videos. But you know what I'm like. I don't do that kind of nonsense. So let's get to the fucking main thread. 10 bands with flawless back catalogues. Now, as I alluded to before, that is a very, very difficult fucking thing. Once you start digging into this and thinking, right, okay, I could think of 3 or 4 bands straight off the bat. And after that, you start thinking, fucking hell, there are so few bands out there with flawless. I really couldn't do maybe barring 2, 3 bands. Flawless, I couldn't fucking do. So I had to do great back catalogues where there's no crap in there. It's all decent. Some are weaker than others and blah, blah, and all that. But yeah, where it's all decent. So yeah, that is what I went with. I started thinking about it, and there were so many. I mean, there's so many of my favourite bands of all time that just have released some stinkers. Metallica, Paradise Lost, Slayer, Anthrax, Megadeth. Megadeth would never be in my all-time, but yeah, bands like that. Cathedral, that just for me dropped off a cliff after the fucking Static Magic EP. I'm not a massive fan of Carnival Bizarre or pretty much anything that followed that, really. I just find it dull. But yeah, all those sort of bands that some stinkers in the collection. There are some that almost made it. Now, if you watch last week's video, this is why I've gone for a more positive approach. I don't like having I don't like being a whiny bitch for 2 weeks in a row. So yeah, where I sort of like I don't like to be negative in successive weeks, so it's a more positive video as this one. But bands that I mentioned last week about sort of like albums that felt like they'd fucking change the sound to stay relevant and not sell out anyway, but yeah. But I mentioned My Dying Bride because of that 34.788% complete album. But they nearly made it into my... Because even though that album's confusing and odd and just... there are 3-4 really good fucking songs on it. So it isn't a terrible album. It's not bad. It's just weird and steps outside of what they do, not in a great way. But it's still a great album, and the rest of the fucking back catalogue's magnificent. So they nearly fucking made this list. Pallbearer, brilliant. Just a couple of average albums, sort of in amongst it as such. But Pallbearer so close to getting on. Conan. I mean, for me, Conan's best album's their recent one, Evidence of Immortality. I think it's fucking brilliant. But they've not done a bad album, really, in the back catalogue. Bolt Thrower, very, very nearly got on here. My only reason for Bolt Thrower not being on this list is because around that, like, Mercenary and around those albums, they're just a bit dull, just a little bit boring. I don't like to use that word with Bolt Thrower because I think they're magnificent. And they are fucking consistent. I just find that period of 2 or 3 albums just a bit dull. But the rest of the catalogue's immense. Sleep, pretty much consistent. Volume 1's the only one that I very, very rarely ever go back to. Well, Volume 1 and Volume 2, to be honest with you. The ones that I rarely go back to. I love the Sciences and adore Dope Smoker and fucking Holy Mountain, of course. So, yeah, but Sleep nearly made it on here. Queens of the Stone Age, there'll be a few of you gasping, but I think they've been consistently decent. There's just, like, Villains and maybe half of Lullabies and a little bit of, what's it called? The one with fucking 3s and 7s on it and 666 and the fucking light bulb on it. Anyway, there's just a little bit of filler and it just drops off the boil slightly, and that's the only reason that they didn't make my top 10. Dillinger Escape Plan. I thought they were consistently decent. Didn't quite make it. Deftones. The only reason Deftones are not on my list is because I do not like Adrenaline, the first album. It's just new metal and dull new metal at that, really, personally. They found their niche on Around the Fur, the album that followed it, and have been consistently great, personally, since then. I love Deftones, apart from that first record. I've mentioned Pallbearer and Carcass. Carcass are another band that very, very nearly got on this list, but I just find Swan Song again, it's not an album that I very, very rarely, if ever, go back to Swan Song. And even, what was the comeback record? Was it Surgical Steel? Even that, magnificent riffs on there and some great Bill Steer solos and stuff. But I rarely go back to that one either. But the rest of the catalogue, fucking incredible, obviously. The last band that I'll mention on honourable mentions that didn't quite make it on here, the Melvins. And the Melvins don't make it on here out of pure fatigue. They release so many fucking records. It's like every fucking idea goes on a fucking record and gets released. They're like the Frank Zappa of fucking, of sludge. But yeah, the back catalogue, I mean, how many records have they released now? About fucking 16,000. Anyway, there is a lot. There's some magnificent ones in there, but there's a lot of stuff that... There are some Melvins albums that I still haven't listened to, let's put it that way. So, yeah, not many, but some. So, those are my honourable mentions. Let's get to the top 10. And my first in the top 10, and this will probably upset Metal Mickey, but, yeah. Now, I've not dug out all the records that I've got with these, but just to give you a sort of cross-section of stuff. My first band, number 10, Autopsy. I think Autopsy are consistently great, personally. Going from the fucking stunning debut Severed Survival to my favourite, and again, Metal Mickey will be gasping, my favourite Autopsy album. I think it's fucking fantastic. Absolutely adore this record. It's that perfect combination of where Severed Survival was leading and into the more, I say the more modern Autopsy, because for me, they nailed their sound on this, and they've been pretty much running with this sound ever since, in reality, in various shapes or sizes. They're very much if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it is not broke for me. I just think they're fucking brilliant. But yeah, Mental Funeral, I've even dug out that for some reason. It's not an album, but Fiend for Blood there. Original press, I should add. But yeah, Autopsy, even Shit Fun. Shit Fun for me is their weakest record. If you've watched the Autopsy documentary, it's really eye-opening when they're talking about, because they're at the point of disbanding around Shit Fun happening. And you can sort of hear that on the record. It feels like all's not well in the Autopsy camp. It's still good though. There's still some fucking monsters on there. So yeah, my number 10, Autopsy. My number 9, and I debated this, but it's this band. I debated this because there's the album. I've forgotten the fucking name of it now. The one with the lightning thing on the front of it. With the new vocalist. It's the one without Eric Wagner on it. And I never really liked that album because it's not got Eric Wagner on it. But these classics, of course, sound like these are all the reissues. I'm not fucking made of money. The Skull, need the Run to the Light one. The self-titled, of course. Manic Frustration. I've got Plastic Green Head down there as well somewhere that I forgot to dig out. But Trouble, magnificent. And even that album, the live albums aren't great, but I don't count them. This is very much a studio album list. So, but yeah, that one with the new vocalist on it. My mate Lee has seen them live with the new vocalist, and he said he's magnificent live, and it really gives you a different feel of the album. And sort of, yeah, that probably would have helped. I'm not he's not Eric Wagner, and I love, for me, Trouble don't feel like Trouble without Eric singing. And it just sort of, yeah. But there's some magnificent riffage on that album, and song-wise, they're all good. So that's why Trouble made it. It's not a magnificent album, but it's still decent, and therefore everything else in their back catalogue is fucking decent. So yeah, Trouble make my number 9. My number 10, and as I alluded to with the Melvins, sometimes bands with such a fucking massive back catalogue can fatigue you, and it's difficult to remember everything. But I think this band have been fucking consistently amazing, and that is Napalm Death. Now, I've forgotten to dig out Scum for reasons unknown, but Enslavement there. The classic Harmony Corruption. This is the one with the fucking live LP with it. And I dug this out, Utilitarian, which is one of my favourite more modern, I mean, I say more modern, it's probably fucking 12-year-old now, isn't it, or something. But one of my favourite more modern Napalm Death albums. I think this band are consistently great. They've not done a bad album for me. Now, I don't have everything in the collection, not even on CD. But like Utopia Banished, fucking... yeah, there are so many fucking albums. The new one, Throes of Joy, whatever it is. The newer stuff I really, really like. There's just a different vibe running through it, but it's still got that fucking intensity that you get with Napalm Death. I've just bought my ticket to go and see him in Preston in October. I'm very excited. First time. Can you believe I've not seen Napalm Death up until this point? So that was why I had to. And the band that rehearsed next door to us, in our lockup in Preston, All Consumed, they're opening that night. So I'm looking forward to seeing them as well, because I've not seen them. I've seen them in corridor at rehearsals many a time, but I've not seen them play live yet. So I was really fucking gutted. They played with no, it wasn't Immolation, was it? Anyway, whoever it was, and I couldn't make it to that gig that they played in Manchester recently, so I'm gonna be there at this one. But yeah, I've digressed. Napalm Death, I think, are consistently fucking great, and I honestly don't. They've done some albums that are weaker than others, of course, but I don't think they've done a bad record for me personally. So that's why Napalm Death are my number 8. My number 7, and a band that I've just been talking about, I've just been gushing about, Winterfylleth. These guys, for me, I've just... They're great. There's no bad records in their back catalogue. And yes, I'm even including the acoustic folky one. It's not the Mercy and Fear, that's just a Thread and Read. No, that's a normal album as well. Whatever the fucking acoustic one's called. I've only got these 2 currently. Winterfylleth are a band that I only discovered about 2 years ago, and I've been, 2 years, 3 years? 2 or 3, anyway, whenever it was. And I've been diving in with fucking great gusto ever since. That's my favourite of theirs currently. That's really, really good. It's just fucking brilliant. I'm very much, I think they might be in the studio or tracking and various things, so there might be new stuff from Winterfylleth coming soon. But I think Winterfylleth are consistently great. Their older stuff's got a rawer feel to it, and I need to get hold of some of that older stuff. But they've really found their niche, and particularly, I love what Mark Deeks, what he brings, because he's the keys in Winterfylleth, if you don't know. Most of you will know that, but the atmosphere that he brings with just so subtlety of the keyboards in the background that just take him to another level. And I think they're magnificent, Winterfylleth. If you don't know about them, go out and discover. If you've been put off because you're thinking, not really a black metal head, give them a whirl. Because like I say, I think they're a really good entry level. I think they give you that, you get all the black metal sensibilities, but with, I think they can just kind of guide you in. Like, I wouldn't say, if somebody's not really into black, like with my brother that's not really into black metal, the last place I'd start him would be with fucking Transylvanian Hunger or something like that. Right here, because that would just put most people off, I imagine. I think you've got to be seasoned and understand it to get those albums. But anyway, but yeah, my number 7, did I say? Yeah, Winterfylleth. I think they're fucking brilliant. And I personally don't think they've done a bad record. My number 6. Now, I've done a ranking of this band. It is Yob. I've just dug out a few there at my fucking Great Cessation. What's the other one I dug out? Can't remember the name of it. The Unreal Never Lived. Yeah, Yob. Their debut Catharsis is decent. Everything else is magnificent after that. So, yeah, that's why they've only made it to my number 6. But I find this band, we're getting to the realms of where I said it was really difficult to do flawless. Well, we're getting to the realms now. So, yeah. Yob. Fucking fantastic band. I'm rattling through these because I've waffled too long at the start between, but I talk too fucking much anyway. John and his mate Dave and Beardy Red will attest to that as well. They've met me in person now and they know that I'm like this when I'm out as well, so apologies guys. Yeah, so yeah, I'm rattling through this because you know about most of these fucking records anyway, but I've just tried to tell you how great they are. My number 5, and this is where now we're in the territory of magnificence. Something I've talked about, yeah. My number 5 is Death. There's just a few, there's the classics. We've got Scream Bloody Gore, of course. This is a blue vinyl reissue. Leprosy, clear vinyl reissue. Spiritual Healing, original press. Human, boring black vinyl reissue. This band have done great albums consistently. I know that there's a lot of people that didn't go with them on that split to technicality. But I adore it. I adore it just as much as the straight-up death metal classics of the first two. Scream Bloody Gore and Leprosy are two very different vehicles as such like that. Spiritual Healing, you can hear that technicality beginning to creep in. Human, full-on fucking technical death. Individual Thought Patterns, absolutely out of this world technical death. I would say Individual Thought Patterns is probably their most technical record of all of them. It's really fucking intricate and tech, and I'm going to do a death ranking at some point, but Individual Thought Patterns, what spoils that record for me is the production on it. It's all very compressed, and yeah, the guitar sounds a little odd, but other than that, and the mix is a bit weird, but Andy LaRocque's fucking solos on there, wow. Symbolic, incredible album, and one of their strongest in the back catalogue, I would say. The last album, Sound of Perseverance, I'm not an enormous fan of. Now, I know you sort of like said, well, that doesn't go by your very fucking clear system, Kris, that you had. And it's still decent. The songs are brilliant. I don't like Chuck's voice at all on it. I don't like his really screechy. I've just been going on about how great black metal is. And I love the vocal style of black metal bands. I don't like where I prefer Chuck's earlier voice. Now, his voice sounds ever so slightly different on every album. It evolves. You listen back through the Death back catalogue, and his voice is evolving on each record. But it evolved to a point. Now, I know his illness had sort of begun to rear its head around that time, and I don't know whether that was connected in any way. My belief is that he just changed his voice because it was easier on his throat. It was just easier for him to sing like that. But I'm not a fan of his voice on that one, so that's why it's a decent album, but average compared to the rest of the fucking back catalogue. The rest of the back catalogue are all fucking stunning. So yeah, that's why Death are my number 5. My number 4, and I've only just done a recent video on them, so I won't go into too much detail. But my number 4, Mastodon. There's no bad records in their back catalogue. Here's just a sample. If you've got the classics, Leviathan, Blood Mountain, and my favourite of theirs, Crack the Sky. Just brilliant, and I love how they've evolved as well. There's a lot of people that prefer that the older, sludgier sound of certainly Remission and with the most part of Leviathan. That prefer that haven't really gone with Mastodon in their more proggy approach to their modern stuff, but I fucking adore all of it. I think they're magnificent. So that's why Mastodon are my number 4. My number 3, and I've done a ranking of these as well. It's Type O Negative. I just dug these two out. Bloody Kisses. This is the fucking triple green vinyl press. And the original, of course, which I like to show off whenever I can, of October Rust. Again, they're a band that polarise opinion. There's some people that like, no, can't get into them. And others, like myself, that fucking love everything they've done. Right through, I think Slow, Deep and Hard is fucking magnificent. There's more of the hardcore metal-y vibe on that, but there's enough of the goth sensibilities that they became. It's a really great evolutionary fucking start point for the band. Bloody Kisses, I can't fucking... I mean, I do count Origin as well as a kind of studio album because it's a faux, it's a mock live album as well. It's a kind of reworking of Slow, Deep and Hard. I love that. Bloody Kisses is magnificent. It's a 10 out of 10 album. October Rust is magnificent. It's a fucking 11 out of 10 album for me. You've got Will Coming Down that followed it. You've got fucking Life Is Killing Me. And Dead Again, the last thing that they did. Everything is fucking fabulous. And I can't really speak highly enough of the band for me. Number 3, maybe they should have been a bit higher. I'm looking at my number 2, and even though I fucking love this band, I might have flipped these. Maybe this should have been my number 3 and Type O my number 2. But anyway, fucking, I've gone with it now. They're in an order. My number 2 is this band. High on Fire. Yes. Now, I've got fucking Blessed Black Wings. Death Is This Communion. Snakes Is the Divine, which is one of my favourites of theirs. There is no bad albums in this band's back catalogue, and I think they've evolved and become even better at what they do, almost, with the Electric Messiah and Luminiferous, is it? And right back to when they started, The Art of Self-Defense. Brilliant. Sounds more like a Sleep album, because, well, if any of you that don't know this band, and I'd be surprised if there's any of you watching this that don't, Matt Pike of Sleep, it's his other project. And I just think they're stunning. If there is a weak album in the collection, and it's not weak, it's still decent. Surrounded by Thieves, the second album, I would say it's the weaker of their back catalogue. Again, this is a band that's going to be getting a ranking video soon. But, yeah, that might be the weakest of what is an incredibly strong back catalogue. But, yeah, fucking High on Fire. I fucking love this band. They've got elements of... It's like Sleep at 1,000 miles an hour in places. There's elements of Motorhead that gets pulled into it as well, which I fucking love. And it's just barrage riffs. There's some... Is it the fucking track on... No, hang on. Wait there, please. Continue waiting. There's a track... I think it's Fire, Flood and Plague on this. It's next to the Divine album. It's got a riff that just fucking... It's like a fucking train coming at you. It's just a barrage of a riff. Yeah, magnificent band. High on Fire. Yeah, fuck it. They do deserve to be my number 2. I think they're ace. My number 1, and I've done a ranking of this band, but they're one of my favourite bands of all time. Faith No More. I just think they're incredible. I think everything they do is fucking magnificent. I've done a ranking, so I've gone into a great detail on all of them, but I've pulled out their fucking killer 3 for me. Real Thing, Angel Dust, King for a Day. Those are my favourite 3 of theirs. Not in that particular order, but you've seen the ranking. Go back and watch it. I know a lot of people switched off to them with Angel Dust. That was a step too far. But I love its craziness. I love its fucking mental approach, and then you got more of that with King for a Day and stuff like that. You got more of that cross section of different genres and different styles being pulled into what they do. I just think they're incredible. I love the Roddy and the keyboard player. I love his use of keys and the atmosphere that it creates. They're a phenomenal live band. They're all great. They've had a succession of great guitarists. Big Jim Martin's still the best one because he's the iconic one. Magnificent, magnificent band. 35 minutes. I'm going to wrap it up because this is fucking too long. I was hoping to do it in half an hour, but there we are. So there we are. Thank you, Altars of Madness. Again, I'll put a link to his video down below if you've not seen it. But thank you for the idea. It was a really good idea that I ran with. I thought, yeah, that's the next video. That's what I'm going to do. And it wasn't until I started diving into it that I realised, fuck, this is really difficult. There are so few bands with consistently great back catalogues. Iron Maiden was one that I should have mentioned before as well, where for me, were only great from 1979 to 1988. After that, forget about it for me. But there's nothing of interest for me after that period. But that period, fuck me, if you could just forget everything else that happened, Maiden might have been my number one. But there we are. Yeah, it's so difficult. So, yeah, I'd be interested to see you guys' takes on this. What you think are 10 bands with a flawless back catalogue. But that was mine, and I'm going to fucking wrap it up there. Next week's video will either be one of these ranking ones that I've got. No, next week's video, actually, I'd seen one, and it was almost this week's, but I've not had time to properly dive into it yet. Metal Marty Mac, 600 subscribers. Congratulations for 600. Richly deserved, Marty. He's done a competition for his 600 subs, which is about movies, movie music, soundtracks, bands that have done songs named after films or in soundtracks and blah, blah. That is something I have. It's been a list for ages and I've just not got around to doing the video, but I have a video that will come at some point of my top 20 fucking soundtracks of all time, because I'm a big movie soundtrack fan. And this is right up my fucking street, Marty. So I will definitely be doing one of your videos at some point. So that might be next week's, actually. Yeah, if I have a proper think about it this week, that might be next week's anyway. But until then, thank you very much for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing. If you haven't, like and subscribe. It all helps. This is what we're all here for, after all. Fucking validation. Needy validation. But anyway, yeah, thanks so much for watching. And until next time, I will see you